Let's take a look at solving quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. The first thing we always want to try when we see a quadratic is to factor. To factor this guy, we look at the leading coefficient and then we look at the constant term. And remember, we look for combinations of those to try to form the OI terms of reverse FOIL to factor. And for this, you can try that. That's not going to work. And so when factoring doesn't work, what's our solution for finding some way to get at this guy? To do that, we need to use the quadratic formula. Now, the standard form of a quadratic, ax squared plus bx plus c, then we pull those coefficients off and the constant, and we can use this quadratic formula to find all the solutions for x. Now, yes, you do have to memorize this, so you should get started on that. Let's look at an example. Remember, ax squared plus bx plus c, that means here b is 1, c is going to be negative 4. Let's pull them off. A equals 2, b equals 1, c equals negative 4. Then we need b squared minus 4ac. B squared is 1 squared is 1, minus 4 times a is 2, times c is negative 4. And when we add those together, negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16, times 2 is 32, plus 1 is 33. That means then we get x is equal to negative b, negative 1, plus or minus the square root of 33, all over 2 times a. 2a is 2 times 2, which is 4. And that means we're done. This is our solution set. You can also write it as x equals negative 1 plus root 33 over 4, and x equals negative 1 minus root 33 all over 4. Either one is correct. Let's do another one. Now this one we need to do a little rearrangement because we do not have it equal to 0. So 2x squared minus x minus 3 is equal to 0. So what's a? 2. B is negative 1. C is negative 3. Let's go ahead and calculate b squared minus 4ac. I recommend you do this outside of the quadratic formula so you don't make a mistake. Times c. Negative 1 squared is 1. Negative 3 times negative 4 is positive 12, times 2 is positive 24, which gives you 25. Ooh, we're going to take the square root of that. Remember, in the quadratic formula, b squared minus 4ac is equal to the square root then of 25, which is just 5. So let's go ahead and use our quadratic formula. X is equal to negative b minus a negative 1 plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. We found that to be 5, all over 2a, which 2 times 2 is 4, so it's all over 4. So this gives us then x equals 1 plus 5 over 4, which is 6 over 4, or 3/2, and x equals 1 minus 5 over 4, which is negative 4 over 4, which is negative 1, and get the negative sign in there. And so these are two solutions. What that means is quadratic formula works for anything, and you could have factored this to start with. So always try to factor before you move on to using the quadratic formula. One last example, you can go ahead and try to factor this thing. It is not factorable. So let's go ahead and pull off a, b, and c. A is equal to 3, b is equal to negative 4, c is equal to 2. Then take a look at b squared minus 4ac. b squared negative 4 squared is positive 16, minus 4 times a is 3, c is 2. Add these together, and what do you get? You get 16 minus 24. Well, that is negative 8. So what happens when you take the square root of b squared minus 4ac, you get the square root of negative 8. That's an imaginary number. So what that means is that there are no real solutions. So folks, that's the variety of types of responses or answers that you could get using the quadratic formula. Hope you have a great day.